Hi there, Loy Machedo speaking to you from loymachedo.com, and the book review today is Dan Ariely's The Upside of Irrationality. Now, I've been reading a couple of books on behavioral economics. Some of my favorite ones is Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman, then Freakonomics and SuperFreakonomics by Stephen Levitt and Stephen Dunbar. Then you also have The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, and Influence, that is Robert Cialdini. You have How We Decide by Jonah Lehrer, who is my all-time favorite. I hope he comes back. The Undercover Economist by Tim Harford. Then Why the Buy by Martin Lindstrom and Paco Underhill. Then, sorry, that was Buyology. Then How We Buy is Paco Underhill. And finally, you have Nudge by Richard Thaler and Cass Sunstein. So these were the books that I happened to read on behavioral economics as of now. There are a couple of more of them, but Predictably Irrational was the first book that I read many, many years ago. In fact, it was my first book that I ever started to read as I started to put book reviews, and 200 books later, I'm finally reading Dan Ariely's The Upside of Irrationality. Now, it says the unexpected benefits of defying logic at work and at home. What he tries to prove in this book is human beings are not rational beings. They're not rational nature. They don't use logic. They use emotions, they use feelings, and most of the time they tend to do things that don't make sense. Now, what I liked about this book was he kind of had a charm to it. He had his magnetic personality that was there. Almost every page was kind of humorous and silly. He was not afraid to give you sarcastic remarks whenever required, and he also had that hint of honesty that was there. Because if you don't know Dan Ariely, who's pictured here, he suffered third-degree burns when he was a pretty young child, as a young student. Sorry, and after he burnt his skin, burnt his flesh rather, third-degree burns, where he could actually see the bone. It was like charcoal, completely gone. So he had to undergo really painful therapy, which included him having bandages all over and then every day getting them ripped off, then being dipped in solution. And his skin had to be stretched. So even his neck, if he would put his neck down for half an hour, then it would stick. So he had to stretch it always, and that itself was very painful in nature. So he kind of describes this in detail and how this impacted him as an individual. One of the favorite chapters which I really loved was when he spoke about the fact that as a young man, when after he got burnt, he, as he put it, he realized that he was no longer in the among the top candidates for dating. So obviously, girls wouldn't want to date him. And then he asks this question that really made me think: that was his face, was his physical features, was that Dan Ariely, or was it something beyond all this? Did he have to settle down for just about any girl who would accept him for being ugly, or would he go for? Could he at least have the opportunity, the freedom to try and get someone who was beautiful and attractive in his eyes? So, thought-provoking questions. Now, I really like this book very much because it made you think. Now, some of my favorite chapters, one of them was the IKEA effect, why it is when you assemble something, you tend to have more attachment towards it and you kind of give it more value. Then the meaning of labor, then you have the case for revenge. You also have the not invented here bias. That means if in case it was not your idea, you don't think very highly of it. But if it is your idea, you think, wow, this is really something special. So he explains in detail. There are a lot more other points. The three reasons why I feel you would really love this book is the structure and formula is the same as Predictably Irrational. So if you like Predictably Irrational, or you like any of the books that I mentioned above, you would like this book because it gives you experiments and then it gives you conclusions. The book is well researched, a lot of thought-provoking stuff that is brought out here. And the thing that makes this book kind of stand out is the humor, the sarcasm, and the personal touch. You would feel as if you're sitting with the owner, sitting with the author in a pub, and you're just having scotch and you're just talking it out. But there are areas where you might not actually like this book because I felt it kind of dragged in some places. I felt he was trying to be too repetitive. The second part is you might feel that because he was conducting these experiments in colleges, that is MIT and Harvard's business school, just the students said, so it may not be applicable to real life. The question is always there. And the formula itself, the structure is, it keeps repeating itself over and over again. So you'll not find something new and innovative. So this was the good side, and I wouldn't say the bad side, but the minus aspect. The honorable mention, which I would like to say, was the Audi experience. I mean, the way he describes how he took revenge, having a car that was Audi, and when it broke down, how did they treat him and what revenge he took. That was really nice. And stuff about online dating. I mean, I really like to know what goes on when you date another person, or how is it that you select. So I found this information pretty good. But overall, because of the repetitive nature, or maybe because I've read so many other books that I felt this information was already repeated, so I give this book a kind of 6.5 out of 10. This is my view on Dan Ariely's The Upside of Irrationality. And I would say check out his blog, because his blog is rated among the 25 best business blogs by Time magazine. So this is The Upside of Irrationality by Dan Ariely. And this is Loy Machedo speaking to you from loymachedo.com. Send me your views. Love to hear what you think about it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.